a while. Probably won't take that long, but
Okay, anyway, we're recording now, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't figure this thing out. This was supposed to be a live show onto YouTube, but I'm too old to figure this crap out. But maybe I can get some young people to help me. I've been trying to get the Yang crowd to help push this thing through. We're trying to talk about a global economic system, a global humanitarian economic system. We've been working on this for quite a while now, probably 9 years. And now is the time to make this happen because it's a worldwide problem for our economic system. Not just for the virus, but for the economic system. I don't know what else to tell you about, but we can't fix the virus. And if you feel comfortable about going out and spreading the virus to other people and killing more people, that's your privilege. I wish we could talk you into not doing that. But if you're worried about making money, this is a way to solve it. It's real simple. The government just can print up money. It's absolutely worthless crap. And they don't borrow it from the IMF. They actually use it, just print it, give it out, just like a greenback dollar used to be back in the Civil War. People accept the greenback dollar because it was a good piece of paper. And once it hit the banks, it pretty much got destroyed. So you didn't have to, so you're not creating inflation. So we're going to call this an energy currency because it's based on what human beings require to stay alive. It's based on education, food, shelter, and health care. And that's why Sanders and Wolf should be looking at something like this. And we can get to the world economic greats together and they can look this thing over. It's a very simple currency. And once this currency that's meant for human survival needs, hits the banks, it's destroyed, so it doesn't create inflation, but the needs are met. Your education, food, and shelter. The schools are taken care of, the food's taken care of, the shelter's taken care of, but you can't invest this money. It's not an invested type of a currency, so therefore it doesn't create inflation, and it doesn't have to be paid back. That's pretty damn simple. And then you don't have to go out if you don't want to. You can use your judgment. Wear your mask if you want to. Keep away from people if you want to. However, don't have to worry about the money end of it. That's number one. Number two is there's something called the UBI, a Universal Basic Income. And that's what Yang was promoting when he was running for office. The problem with the Universal Basic Income for a country that doesn't have their basic needs met is that you've got a problem because their basic needs still aren't met. So the first step is to get energy currency based on human needs no matter what. And then use the Yang currency to supplement your income, which will enhance the economies. Now, where this works is places like Finland, Scandinavian countries, Canada. That works. It doesn't work with countries that doesn't have their basic needs met. And most countries in this world, out of the 200 countries, probably 3/4 of them have this in their constitution, but they don't know how to pay for it. So I'm suggesting that we call this an energy currency because it's based on human requirements, and it's based on the energy units all humans need in calories for food. It's about 1 million energy units a year, or calories a year. Fresh water from the sun, another 1 million energy units of food a year, more or less. And we live about 80 years of age, more or less. Now, once we got that understood, then we set up the energy units for a human being. Pause capture. What happened? Why just it says pause capture? Okay. Anyway, I'm not a very good computer guy, but anyway. So you set up this currency, and you do it either on a country basis, a world basis, or a state basis, because it's not going into the general fund, so it won't create inflation. So each state can do their own. Then they goes hand in hand with any currency you want to use for your own country. And then if of course you can use the whole thing worldwide. So if you have people won't work for less money around the world because their basic needs will always be met. And they won't be coming over to other countries and climbing walls and or whatever they got to do to get here because their basic needs are met worldwide. That's the most important thing. Basic needs: healthcare, education, food, shelter, and infrastructure. Those basic needs must be met again. I'm going to say it again. Healthcare, food, shelter, education, and infrastructure. Those are the basic needs that you print this energy currency for, and it's based on actually what human beings need in energy units, not in money.
What we all have in common.
And by the way, that's in common no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in a hut in Africa or you're in a penthouse apartment in Manhattan or China. Those needs are the same, measured in energy units. It may be a different monetary value, but that's what the difference is. Energy units are objective units, like the sun coming up every day. Now, by the way, I did not want this to be a lecture. I wanted it to be a call-in program, so people can ask questions and poo-poo it, and like that. And also put in good information on how they think we can make this happen. The key issue here, if we're right, and we always have doubts that we are right, because there's always something better. However, this is the best we can come up with, but we need a way of moving this forward. That's all I can say. Just move it forward.
It's a transition.
It's a transition point, but now is the time in the world where the entire world has the same economic problem, and the same problem because of lack of health care. This pandemic has gotten out of hand. The World Economic Forum should be looking at this. In our country, we have Klugman, Wolf, Rice, Sanders, Yang. All these people should be coming together to make sure that this energy currency comes into play. If you go onto our website, renewtheearth.org, this has all been put into writing. We initially started calling it HREM, a Human Renewable Energy Measure, but it became pretty complicated because people...
Actually, that was the HREM.
The HREM.
Right.
HREM. The Human Renewable Energy Measure, and then we moved it over to energy currency. So that's the story.
There's something that I heard in the news this morning that one of the, I don't know if it was a senator or one of the Congress people, was saying that, about reopening things, that he, in his opinion, this virus was only killing old people and people who were sick, and that was, those were the vulnerable, in that that somehow was a reason why things could be opened up, because we'll just isolate these people or do whatever, and they can stay home and the rest of us can do what we normally do or something. I'm not sure what his logic was, but you have to take into account, and this occurred to me right away, that many grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren. And this country, there's a huge percentage of grandparents that are parenting their grandchildren. And, you just have to think, the effects will be, rippling from the point where, children who have depended on the care of their grandparents are then, they may die, or one of them may die, or you never know if they're vulnerable, as is asserted.
Well,
and then what do these children do?
Well, okay, well, look, there's two problems here. The first problem is the old economic system. You had to have both parents out working to make ends meet. That's the first problem. The second problem is you have the grandparents taking care of the kids.
Right, because the parents
are working. Well,
or the parents, for some reason can't care for their children.
But you don't have health care in this country. It's costing you a fortune for health care. So let's go back to the beginning.
We'd also do.
We can create, not that we could have, or should have had, or might have had. We can create at this point in time. Just print money. Just print it. And it says energy currency on it. And it's used just like regular currency for just health care, education, food, shelter, and the basic infrastructure for schools and roads, and maybe solar panels. Now, those are that's all this money is good for. And the minute that money hits the banks, it gets destroyed. So
But meanwhile, it circulates in the population, in the marketplace, and buys whatever people need. But when it, as you say, gets to the bank, it's not investable. It's not.
You can't let the big guys.
savable.
The big guys can't take it away, and they can't use it to make money on money. So it won't create inflation, and it doesn't have to be paid back. Then you have a UBI because you're still going to have an economy going. Whether or not you're out there or not, you'll still have an economy going to buy the toys and to buy the other things you may want. That's what UBI does. It helps the economy grow.
So these are compatible.
They're
You were
right.
saying it in an interesting way before that that you've got socialism and capitalism actually
Working
proceeding
hand
forward together.
Right, and also let me let me try to bring this out another way. The energy currency is an objective number. It's based on the energy units and the age of a human being. You can't change those energy units because they are in fact they're objective. They're based on physics, like the sun coming up. Now, the sun coming up every day is what is physical, but we name those days and weeks and months and years. We name them
Well, so that we can
so we
use.
can use the physical. We've named the properties of the sun coming up. We've named them, and that's what we're going. And it's related to physics. We are saying the same thing.
And we've measured them.
The energy currency is measurable, so it's physics. So we need that currency first to pay for those things I mentioned before: healthcare, food, shelter, education, and infrastructure. Those are the basic 5 things it's there for. Again, I'm sorry, I don't want to lecture this, but it needs to be said, and we need to bring this out in different ways. Then we put in the printed money, or the gold or the silver, everything you want to trade with for the stuff you want. Of course, our needs are exactly the same. And we live for survival needs.
Right.
No matter who we are, where we are in the world, we need the need. The needs have to be there. Then you have your wants. That's what makes us all different. You may want to buy a Hummer, or you want to buy a fancy house, or you want. Then you have 20. Well, basically, you're saying you have to work 1 hour a day somehow to get your basic needs.
The energy currency.
The energy currency. Then you have 23 more hours for your wants.
Well, you don't have a 24-hour
Well, you have a 24-hour day, but you can work either an hour that day, or 2 hours, or 23 hours. You can, if you're really hungry for money, you can do anything you can work
get the computer to do it.
and then you can play the stock market if you want, or you can build houses, or you can play music, whatever you want to do. You've got that free time. So basically, when you put in the UBI and you put in the energy currencies, you now have free time. Work less hours for a better quality of life, which is sort of interesting, because how many people now realize they didn't have to go to work. If they had enough money coming in and they had their basic needs met, you could spend more time with your kids. And if you didn't have this pandemic going, you could have a really great time. I mean, you'd be able to take vacations and look around and teach your kids directly. Maybe re-educate yourself on things you'd be interested in doing. This is what we're talking about.
And time has changed because you're not going to a 9-to-5 situation.
Now Thoreau just said something about how much is your life worth, and we get a lot of things on this, especially when somebody was knocking Cuomo because he didn't want to open up right away. Well, how much is your life worth? How much is your mother's life worth? Your father's life? Your child's life? How much is a life worth? And everybody says, well, it's priceless. Well, let me just quote Thoreau again.
Not according to the economy.
Maybe, anyway, the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange it for. In other words, the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange it for, and that's Henry Thoreau.
You're willing to use to get it.
Right. In other words, like right now, suppose you want to build yourself a tube amp, and you're willing to spend 4 hours of your life building that tube amp. That tube amp took 4 hours of your life. If you're willing to go to work for...
Yeah, the question isn't how much your life is worth. The question is how much is the object
worth to
or
you.
How much is the money worth. And in this case, the kind of money that we're using now is very subjective. It's changed by, the values are changed constantly. I mean, we can see it happening in the stock market, how value of material, But the money that we're suggesting, the energy currency that we're suggesting does have real value because we're basing it on the value of human labor and human life.
And the real value is not so much in the gold or the silver or the fiat currency. The value is in mind and labor. And I can show you how subjective that money is. Barrel prices, energy prices, are very important because they save labor. In other words, if you had to walk
They're tools,
and they need the energy to run the tools, which save you life work.
And energy is a tool. The fossil fuel energy is a type of
tool
that you can use to run things.
But the fossil fuel energy, there's a certain amount of BTUs or energy in a barrel of fuel. Now, a barrel of fuel used to be $6 a barrel, and sometimes it was up to $50 a barrel. And the higher the fuel prices go up, because we really require fuel to keep the economy running, is based on a subjective number. But look at the barrel of fuel. That's
not changed.
That hasn't changed one bit. The BTU content is still exactly the same. And now, because there's a glut in the market, they're giving the fuel away because they have no place to store it. So that proves to you that the money is irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. There's no, and of course people who...
It floats.
It's subjective. It's totally subjective. Right. So we're looking at, in human beings, a very, very valuable things, because they use mind and labor to make everything happen. Yeah. Now, energy helps them with that. Now, my point is, and I'm going all over the place, but while energy is cheap, we build a renewable energy industry, whatever we can, wind, sun, whatever we can think of, because down the road we want cheap fuel that doesn't pollute the air. And that's where we're coming from. Now, China, a friend of mine asked me about 15 years ago, he said, how come China does so well? And the reason why China does so well was because it has so much renewable energy. And he said, no, it doesn't have renewable energy at all. I said, yes, it does. It has people, and we are, in fact, renewable energy, and we are very valuable. Human beings, that's why people had slavery years ago. They needed to have slaves on the plantations, and the slaves made the plantation owners very wealthy. Well, we need to get it to a point where the energy, the robotic energy, works for all of us, and we all shouldn't have to work like slaves and 8-10 hours a day. In Europe, they used to work less hours and they had a much more better quality of time, but the economic system is insidious and it keeps on taking things over. We do not have to work more than 3 or 4 hours a day for a really good quality of life worldwide. But we have to get this energy currency and the UBI into position. I'm sorry we can't get call-ins right now, but
we'll get to that.
Hopefully I'll get some young people to show me how to work this damn machine. But anyway, and if we can figure out a way, if you're watching this, See if you can spread the word to get this out. That's the point of it. If we're right, we want to make sure this goes viral somehow and get an energy currency into position. This has been Jeff Beller and Susan Comont for Renew the Earth.
Oh, let me put in
Oh.
a statement by the, renewtheearth.org, right. But here, there was a comment by the Dalai Lama about, the value or the commonalities of humans. In times like this, quote, that we must focus on what unites us as members of one human family. Accordingly, we need to reach out to each other with compassion. As human beings, we are all the same. We experience the same fears, the same hopes, the same uncertainties, yet we are also united by a desire for happiness. Our human capacity to reason and to see things realistically gives us the ability to transform hardship into opportunity. He's, unquote, and he's emphasizing, our commonality, and that's what this kind of currency emphasizes. What we need in common to survive, and that
All of humanity.
all of humanity, and and cooperation between all peoples. These are things that help any species survive into the future, and we're no different than other species on this planet. We now have. I just saw the numbers, within just a few months, we have almost had 2 million cases in this country, and more than 70,000 deaths. This is not the common flu. This is not anything.
But the thing is, the reality.
Look at the reality.
The reality is, if we had this currency in place, where every country in the world had good health care,
right.
They had infrastructure, they had schools, and they had education and food and shelter,
people wouldn't be forced out of their homes to
this
work.
epidemic wouldn't be killing people around the world. It wouldn't even affect it, by the way, our economic system now. The economic system is out of whack. It only benefits the rich, and the rich are not benefiting by this, because the actual value of the money is worthless, and you can see that by the way these countries are printing it up. And the other interesting part about this, the stock market's growing. Now,
that seems impossible.
Now,
I don't know why.
the reality is
that's an unreality.
There's another reality here, that I have a doctor, and I actually had the flu. They think it was the corona flu. However, the coronavirus, I got very sick, but they had no tests in Florida. I'm in Florida right now.
At the time when you were infected.
When I was infected, and they still don't have it.
February.
And now it's May, in the middle of May, and they still don't have enough tests to tell me whether or not I had it. The point is, my doctor looked at it, but what's more important than my doctor at this point in time, or even the people who took the x-rays, is the person who's picking up my garbage, is the person stocking the shelves in the supermarket, the people behind the counter. How much are they worth compared to a doctor? Now, a doctor had schooling, but they're not worth that much more. A senator and a congressman who does absolutely nothing, and absolutely gets in the way in most cases for helping humanity, they're making 1,000 and sometimes 2,000 times more than the common person working to keep the world going. That shows you that humanity, the economic system, is so far out of whack, it's outrageous. I just wish I can get this message out faster and better, but we need to get together somehow and check this out. And look at, if the Yang gang and the Sanders gang all got together and looked at this video, and they would understand drastically what we're doing, And they all got together and promoted energy currency along with the UBI worldwide, not just for one country, but for all countries. And we can get the economists to get behind this. This would happen overnight. This is the important thing, but we need you young people, because I can't figure out how the machines are working. We need you young guys to get out there and make this happen. I wish I could be clearer,
I
but
just want to correct the numbers that I said earlier. It looks like it's 1,300,000 cases in this country, United States, and 78,000 deaths so far.
yeah, and that's in the
coming out of
U.S.
Johns Hopkins
That's-
University.
and then of course there'll be people who say, "Oh, that the numbers are
But
wrong."
these are
or-
the things that our administration don't want you to
or
hear.
and worldwide they don't want it. The only
Well,
the-
some countries are being
and,
very open.
and they're not accurate because there's people who dying that they don't know of. And then again, you
not
know,
everybody goes to the hospital.
but
that's
the
for sure.
more importantly is we have learned very. I mean, we knew this beforehand, but now it's so obvious. It's so obvious that we need a humanitarian economic system, a global energy currency, a humanitarian economic system. I guess that's all I'm going to put up today. But please, if you have any great ideas, look at Renew the Earth. Promote the concept on your own. You don't need to join us or send us money.
Or you can tweet you at Jeff Beller.
Or they can tweet me at Jeff Beller. I'm on Tweet all the time.
Right.
That's the way we could do this. If it may work, but it's not. This is not the only reason why it's a political issue is because the money's involved. If we had an energy currency and enough money, there would be no political problem. You wouldn't need a Republican or Democratic people fighting with each other. You wouldn't. You would have some basically a united front for all of humanity. It's not the Chinese or the blacks or the Republicans or the whites. We're all one planet. We have to come together. I don't know how much I can't stress this anymore. I mean, everyone has the same needs. We all have different wants, but we have the same needs. The prejudices will disappear once we fix the economic system. It'll take a while, but it will eventually disappear. The economic system is the problem. So we need a different economic system.
In fact, our government is being. It's the other way. The government doesn't influence the economic system. The economic system is influencing the government and controlling it in a sense, really.
The economic system is controlled. Is controlling everything, and it's getting throughout the whole world.
This is governments everywhere, right?
It's not just here. We need to change this economic system on a worldwide basis and call it a humanitarian economic system. And it must, anyway, that you got the picture. I'm pretty sure you got it. We can do some more programs with this. You can figure out your own ways of making it happen. Don't join Renew the Earth. Start your own Renew the Earth. Start your own humanitarian economic system. Go worldwide. We right now I think we're in 40 countries, but we're all little teeny groups like I am, and we want to come together with the same concept. And it's moving. You can see there's something moving. The collective unconscious is moving across the globe, but the powers that be, the money people, don't want this to happen. By the way, they'd be better off using their system in conjunction with the energy currency system and the UBI system. They'd be farther ahead of us because everybody in the world would have more free time to enjoy the little toys in life. That's my point. I've been talking for half an hour. I did not want to preach this way, but I would prefer having other people tell me what their ideas would be and how they'd move this thing forward. But after you see this video, if you see the video, please move it forward any way you can. And that means I'm suggested to Sanders and Yang and Reich and Klugman and somebody else there, Wolf, and to get together as a group and get some more economists together from around the world and put together a plan to put the humanitarian economic system in place. Maybe that'll work. Thank you very, very much for your time to listen. I'm sorry it wasn't a live show, but maybe next time. Have a very good one.